These are the ones watching the street, I do believe. And watching Radiant people. That lady that works there, Hispanic woman that works there, just drove by in her burgundy car and turned into the building there, right there. We still have this stolen car here. It's been abandoned for approximately 2 weeks. And of course, this expensive car that came in. We've got these people who also were watching my house down at the corner of Twin Oaks and Kearney, and who also seem to have been watching with others on the night only closer to the corner when the previous renters moved. And that was the last ones to rent the house. Francisco and his girlfriend, Bianca. We have a lot of them that are involved in this neighborhood. And they all seem to be tied into that building at the corner of 3rd and Kearney Street, that Radiant Spa beautician place. I thought it was interesting because they're not even listed in the printed yellow pages, maybe online. So, you know, maybe it's a business front for the cartel. But I know that those people over there on the corner live close to the lady that actually works there. And they all seem to watch each other's backs in this area. These criminal-minded ones that have been stalking the house. I know they're tied into the tormenting of my family here. I just can't prove it. I have to just... And I do believe that this is why they want this house, because it's more convenient for them to do their Grand Theft Auto that they like to get done. The man who works at that Radiant store with the Hispanic lady is I call him the white ponytail man. He lives on Church Street. So he lives a couple houses down from the establishment. His son is the blonde-headed guy who keeps dropping off random cars around my house with different people. And his son is also the blonde-headed guy who also was circling this intersection several times on the day that Kevin was here. And I overheard the son say, and he must have been still in high school, I overheard him say back then, it's approximately 2 years ago, I don't want to do this anymore. Those were his exact words. I don't want to do this anymore. Because he saw me going out and taking a picture of him stalking my house. Now, his father too is stalking the house, and I believe that his father is the person who was at my house looking all beat up that day, saying he wanted my house and that I was not wanted here. So all of this happened before my attack. This guy is still out here in the street. It's really suspicious. Again, I do believe that it has to deal with this car here. And this car was abandoned approximately a week ago. 2 weeks ago. So we got a car theft thing going on. And we got a lot of the local residents that are on this particular street, I believe, that are watching it and waving and flagging and watching my house as well and everything that I do when I come and when I go. My sister's dead now, but she used to sit here in her burgundy car, her Avalon, Toyota Avalon and watch the house when I would leave. And she said there was a time when a tow truck came up acting as though it was legally supposed to come and tow away our vehicles here in my house, at my house, while I was away. And she had to stop him. So now she is dead, and I don't know, they've just allowed this community to turn over to a criminal element. I really do believe this. I really do. I also noticed that after things started going on with my cats, the feral cats that came around, I saw murdered at the time that I was going to the Pillars of the Community meeting. People started to move out after that. The people on the corner of K Street and Church Street were the first ones that I observed moving out. And then after that, it seems as though several of the residents have begun to put their houses up for sale who were involved in the persecution and harassment of us here on this corner. Now, we still have some residents in the block and around me who are still involved, but maybe they can't afford to leave, just like I can't afford to leave my house. But they were pulled into this corruption by the other residents who had moved in, i.e. Bob Day and his wife and the other white Caucasian people in the neighborhood. And they're the ones that are actually, it seems like, on the top, running the whole thing. And they have a lot of Mexican people that they hire, Latinos and Latin gangs that they have brought in. And like I said, the police back then too were constantly monitoring my house, and still are. But now they're sending the senior patrol police, Chula Vista police, to monitor my house. But when my son was working at Fuddruckers, the police would stand park their car right here at this corner right there. And my son got off usually around 11 p.m. to midnight, and they would high beam flash. And then when I looked, because I would watch for my son coming home, there would be another car that was located right at the corner of Church and Kearney Street that would also be flashing its lights. And so I'd see the lights flashing, and the police car would be parked. And then within seconds, my son would roll in and come home from work. I do apologize for the lawn. That's another problem I'm dealing with. Also, concurrently with it, is that my son and my nephew grew up in this house. My nephew was actually born in this house. Several of the grandkids were born here, and he is deliberately allowing this place to get a wreck so that it appears as though we're the problem here, and so that the neighborhood could turn on us. Now, he's done this, the trustee, Eric Troy Jackson, he's done this 3 times. This is the 3rd time he's done this. We had to get out here twice before, and it was very difficult to get the lawn done because during that time we had a caravan of hostile people circling with their lowriders, and also other wicked residents walking their pit bulls and other vicious dogs around us while we attempted to get the lawn done. And it's pretty pathetic that the world has gotten this way, and that they will attack an innocent family the way that they do. But most of these people, mostly all these people, except for maybe 5 residents, are all new to this place. So my son, kind of growing up here, and my nephew are a part of the problem. My son wants the money. My son got paid $29,000 to manage for just 1 year all of this stuff. He gave me $110, and he hasn't done shit for this house. That's the truth. He is also a criminal of mine. He stole every single dollar from the sale of my house. that he was supposed to split between his siblings. So I'm dealing with a lot of corruption. I'm dealing with a lot of wicked residents, so-called neighbors, and I'm dealing with some really hostile realtors who want this place. A lot of white people too, because the manager himself is waiting in line to get that, the one that used to run this place. And he actually did some work here that he claimed to have done and charged our property almost $4,000. He said that he did a remodel here at this place. There's been no remodel done at this place, but yet we were charged here for a remodel. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of people or entities involved in it, including some local residents in and around here. One of them specifically is Bob Day. He lives right next door. I said if I ended up dead, I wanted all these people brought up on murder charges. Then my sister was murdered and another guy died. So this is why the Chula Vista Police Department refuses to investigate the murder. But if I end up going, because I had a guy drive around the other day in a black Jeep with a commander license on it. He slowed down, and as he passed me, he pointed straight up as if, hey, during the Passover, we're going to murder you. I was attacked during Passover approximately 3 years ago in the Pho restaurant locally nearby. Again, that was done by a lot of these local residents and their people. So I'm putting this on record. I want this all on record. And at some point, I'm sure someone who has the ability to get through and investigate this without fear of being murdered or losing their job, someone will say, hey, you know what? That lady on the corner of Kearney and Delmar, she was telling the truth all that time. And the neighborhood, her son, and the corrupt property manager and trustee lawyer caused the death of, I believe, my mother, but I know my sister, and attempted murder of me, and still trying. So now I'm also involved in this. This is another house that was stolen. 3605 Florence Street, San Diego, California. And we're trying to get some justice there, but you can't seem to get justice in San Diego County. It's just steeped in a lot of corruption. The courts are corrupt, the judges are corrupt, the district attorneys are corrupt, the public defenders are corrupt. So of course, it is a virtual heyday for every criminal-minded person. That includes my family member who perjured and lied in court the minute he opened his mouth, and the judge let him get away with it. He was on virtual video. I was there in person. Of course he didn't show up in person because he knew he couldn't pull off his lies and get away with it, and he would have been arrested on the spot. But this is the times we're living in. It's very corrupt. The world's waxed more evil, and not all Israel is Israel, meaning, hey, they may be my blood, but they're not my kin. That goes for my son, Eric Troy Jackson, the trustee, now property manager, because now he has decided to take over and said he is. I have repeatedly asked him to do the lawn, and he has left it like this. And that includes all other people involved, including my nephew, in the murder of my sister, Simone Kelman Washington, or Washington Kelman. I don't know if she ever really divorced her husband or not, but I do know it was foul play in her death, and I do know that Anthony, her son, did a lot to assist her to the grave, and so did my son, Eric Troy Jackson. And they should be brought up, all of them, on charges. Murder charges, senior abuse. Throw the book at them, throw the book at everyone involved in this. Everyone involved in this at some point. But like I said, I'm just keeping this record right now because this is what I live with every day. And it's not just the hostile family, it's also dealing with the corruption going now on in front of my house that is not being dealt with. They had Chula Vista Police Department Senior Patrol come here just yesterday. The man parked right there where you see this black car parked right in back of my van. He sat there with another man watching me for 10 minutes while this potentially, and I believe it actually is, stolen vehicle that was abandoned here literally over 2 weeks ago now has been sitting here. And he only glanced there once. They were mainly focused on what's going on with me sitting on my patio. Did they wave? No. Or gesture? Did they make any attempt to communicate? No, they just stared me down. And this is 1 week after my trying to get a restraining order in the corrupt Chula Vista court. I had my evidence there. I subpoenaed everything the way I thought I was supposed to. The judge had the video where it was an audio portion of my 911 call, but he would not receive it as evidence, even though I subpoenaed it, saying that it was not given to the defendant. But the defendant chose to sit in his car and lie in court after swearing to tell the truth. But this is what the courts are now, and I'm telling you right now, don't expect to get any justice in these courts. The only ones that do get justice in these courts are the devils that are willing to lie and perjure themselves, like my nephew did. So, just putting this evidence here for a record. This is Friday, the last week of March of 2022.